Hi folks, welcome to another edition of the Too Old for Bowls show. I'm your host Johnny. The other night while I was watching TV, when I picked up the remote to change channels, somehow my thoughts drifted back to the early 1950s. I thought of the first TV set my parents bought. It was somewhere around late 1949 or early 1950. That got me thinking. Through the years, I've seen many advances in everyday things. And this prompted me to do a video about things or advancements we now take for granted. For lack of anything better, I'll call this episode Things We Take for Granted. Our first TV had a 12-inch screen, and it was in a cabinet that's as big as a modern washer or dryer. In the 1980s, I bought a big screen TV. It had a 42-inch screen and cost over $3,000. Now you can buy a smart TV with a 50-inch screen for somewhere around $250. TVs are just a few of the advancements we take for granted. I remember my mother using a washing machine with a wringer. After she washed the clothes, she put them through the wringer, then hung them out to dry on a clothesline outside. In the winter months, the clothes were hung in the basement to dry. I remember my father cutting our lawn with a hand mower. How about automobiles? My first car was a 1953 Ford. It was a stick shift with hand roll-up windows. You had to pull out a manual choke to start it. And of course, it had no air conditioning. I had lots of fun customizing it. On my 2015 SUV, I touch a screen and it gives me the air pressure in my tires and the gas mileage. It has a backup camera and takes my cell phone calls. The newer models have even more advanced features, such as built-in GPS systems. I truly believe that the modern automobile is really a miracle. By the way, my first car with air conditioning was a 1975 Buick station wagon. I really always felt that when Henry Ford made the automobile affordable for the average person with his Model T, he changed the face of America. How about computers and cell phones? I bought my first computer in 1980. It was a Radio Shack model TSR-80, and it had 64 kilobytes of RAM. We wrote a program in BASIC that would calculate time cards for us, and we stored the programs on cassette tapes. My first computer with a hard drive had 10 megabytes of storage space. My current computer has 8 gigabytes of RAM and a half a terabyte of storage space. It has Copilot, also known as artificial intelligence, which answers any questions I have. Remember when you had to look something up, you went to an encyclopedia or went to the library. Now you can ask your cell phone or artificial intelligence a question and get an instant answer. I had AI take a look at this script, and for the record, this episode is again in my own words. And speaking of cell phones, in 1980, I bought what's called a bag phone. I kept it in my car, and it cost over $800, and all it did was make and answer phone calls. Now cell phones are called smartphones, and it's like having a laptop computer in your pocket. My new iPhone came with an app called Visual Intelligence. For example, you can take a picture of an animal and it will immediately identify the species. It takes better pictures than my $1,000 digital camera. Who knows what's in store for computers and cell phones in the future? Well, how about EVs? They've come a long way. I remember I bought an electric vehicle in 1957, and it ran great and it was economical to run, but it was very, very limited. It only came with a 200-foot cord. But seriously, EVs are making great strides and they're really starting to interest me. Now, what about the developments in the medical field through the years? This could be the subject for an upcoming video. Let me just finish by saying, take a look around you and think of all the useful and helpful things you use in your daily life. Do you remember what you did when these things were not available? When you were born in 1940 like I was, there's a lot of things that I use today that were not even thought of in 1940. Of course, with all of these advancements, costs have gone up. Well, that's all I have for today, folks. Whoops, one more thing. I finished writing the script for this episode today and plan on doing the actual video tomorrow. Tonight, while I was watching the news before going to bed, we had a power outage. Now that's probably the ultimate thing that I take for granted. Electricity. I've been used to having electricity all of my life. When you lose power, everything comes to a screeching halt. I really don't have to enumerate on that. Fortunately, this outage only lasted about an hour and I'm back in business. But I got to thinking, when was electric power first available in the USA? Here's a little history of electric power, courtesy of Copilot. I was not aware that it wasn't until the 1950s that electric power became truly widespread and accessible to the average American household. It's really hard to imagine living without electricity. Well, that's about it for today, folks. Thanks for watching, and please visit the Too Old for Bull website. After this video, there will be a link to the Too Old for Bull website where you can view my other videos and leave your comments. We'll see you on down the trail.